All right, so Tyrion. Tyrion has been a busy bee. Tried to get the harbor back in shape, turned Simon Silvertongue into a stew, as you do. Thanks to Bron's, body disposal network. What else? Go over the accounting books to try and somehow find the money to pay for the port reconstruction. Not to mention the costliest and frankly tackiest wedding Westeros has seen in decades, royal wedding, no less. And while sweating over those account books, artfully cooked by Littlefinger, a month has passed. My, how time flies. How do I know a month has passed? I'm relying on that spreadsheet, that exists online called the most precise ASOIAF timeline in existence. If you just type those keywords, in the search engine of your choice, dear listener, say altavista.com or indeed Ask Jeeves, the spreadsheet will reveal itself to you. Now, I think this opus, this spreadsheet, the most precise timeline, is attributed to a certain Reddit user, goes by the name Private Major. Although for the longest time I kept crediting Alan Feldman, as in Feldman 10, author of those great articles on the Myronese blot. But I do believe that Monsieur Feldman was involved somehow. I don't know. Anyway. What does the timeline say, I hear you ask, dear listener? Well, according to this timeline, 15 days have passed since the events of the previous Tyrion POV chapter, which might not be the most exciting thing to take away from this document. But it becomes interesting when you realize how disjointed these chapters are, because remember the events from Samuel's point of view? The mutiny at Craster's Keep, Mormont, Lord Commander Mormont's death, Gilly, or is it Gilly, giving birth. We read all that like 5 chapters ago. Well, guess what? All those things have yet to happen. Now that we're looking at the story from Tyrion's perspective, here we're in Tyrion's head. On the other end of the time continuum, we have Daenerys, who has already gone and done stuff we haven't even read about yet. Because the last Dany's chapter we read was Daenerys 3, but at this point in time, certain events in Dany's arc have already occurred, which we won't read about until Daenerys 6. And in Arya's story, things have already happened that won't be told until Arya 8, and we're still at Arya 6. All things I obviously won't tell you about, although these things that, both Daenerys and Arya have already done and gone through. And these are all things that I won't tell you about because spoilers. But where are my manners, dear listener? Welcome to my incoherent, albeit I'm going to say, I'm really incapable of pronouncing words today. Welcome to my incoherent, albeit spoiler-free commentaries of A Song of Ice and Fire. ASOS, A Storm of Swords, to be precise. Yes, I will try as much as I can to resist temptation of going into spoiler territory. Now, as I say, incapable of pronouncing words today. And as far as this series is concerned, I will only be looking back and not ahead. So basically books 1, 2, and book 3, but only to the end of this very chapter, no further than that. So I hope you have read this very chapter, because we're totally sinking our teeth into it right now, I'm telling you. So yeah, ditto with Catelyn. Catelyn, things that we'll get to read about in Catelyn 5, after her father's funeral and that meeting with the Freys. Yeah, those things have actually already happened. But we don't know about those things yet because we're still at Catelyn 4 in this point in the book. So yeah, there's that. As for other characters, they're pretty much according to my notes, they're pretty much where we left them. Jon has scaled the wall. Jaime is still healing. Just a couple of chapters ago. Jon scaled the wall 8 chapters ago, and we're more or less, in sync with Jon. Jaime is still healing, so he's lost his head. He's lost his head. He's lost his sword hand. His dinner with Roose Bolton was a couple of days ago, from today's perspective. Brienne's fate is unknown at present. And Bran just keeps on going. That's what he does. He just keeps going north. He's doing his Lord of the Rings kind of travel, except northbound as opposed to eastbound. So what else? This is Bran, and then Sansa. Yeah, Sansa. That's okay. We know about Sansa because she and Tyrion are now flatmates. Yeah, well, a little more than that, although still a little less than husband and wife. My point being that their timelines are kind of intertwined at the moment, and not for the last time. Shut up. Yeah, so their timelines are intertwined, and so we get sporadic updates on Sansa in Tyrion's POV chapters and vice versa. You might recall. So how have things progressed since the last Tyrion POV? You might be impatient to get on with this part, which is really what the commentary is about. Well, one thing remains a constant. Tyrion is still sent left and right to carry out other people's errands. In his previous chapter a couple of weeks ago, he was inspecting the harbor, supposedly a task that should have been assigned to his uncle Kevin, which really beats the hell out of me. Why a master of laws should be sent to inspect the conditions of the harbor, to see what is needed to repair it, to shape it up so that it's, up and running, ready for business. Especially considering that the main purpose of that survey was to estimate a budget for all the works needed, which just happens to be Tyrion's job, the dude being master of coin. As well, Anyway, bottom line is Kevin Lannister couldn't go because he was still grieving his son, whacked at the hands of that charming fellow Rickard Karstark. So Tyrion went and checked that box. And now our main guy is still carrying out duties he feels should be taken up by other people. Not sure exactly by whom, because the particular visitor to King's Landing that Tyrion has been sent out to meet, greet and welcome, being kind of like a head of state, or let's just say royalty from Dorne, the kind of person to unfurl the red carpet for this particular guy really should be, the hand of the king, maybe, or possibly the hand's brother, the above-mentioned Kevin Lannister. For no better reason, to at least remind them, in the capacity of master of laws, not to break any while they're in the Crown Lands. Or why not even the king himself, Joffrey? Tyrion does wander at some point. But now of all those people, no, it's actually Tyrion again. What are you going to do? So that's right, we're finally meeting these Dornish men. I mean, technically we already have. Remember that Dornish bloody mummer? But yeah, that one wasn't exactly a specimen. How can I put it? A creme de la creme. He's a bloody mummer, for God's sake. And the one line that comes out of his mouth was a suggestion on how to take Brienne by force. Instructions, I hold her here, you hold her there. So not a happy encounter that was of a Dornish character. No, right now we're actually meeting royalty, all right? Pay attention, all right? Loyalty, I mean. And if you recall that small council meeting back in Tyrion V, that's where we learned that some 300 Dornishmen were marching to King's Landing to attend the royal wedding. Cloppity, cloppity, clop. You know, that's the sound of them marching. And at which point, Mace Tyrell's vein on his forehead nearly popped, because he didn't remember any Dornish prince asking him for a transit visa to cross his lands in the Reach. Perhaps because the Dornish, as Tyrion figured out, tend to prefer to climb the Boneway, turn east near Summerhall, and come up the King's Road. And at that point, Cersei, missing the point, actually simply said, "Well, so what? You know, we will just squeeze a few more benches, and there will be room for everybody." Do you remember all that? The small council meeting, Tyrion 3? One of the things that occurred in Tyrion 3. And the fact that there's always been this enmity between Tyrells and Martells, and that Willas Tyrell lost the use of one of his legs because Prince Oberyn beat him at a tourney, causing his horse to fall on him, which probably didn't help the Tyrell-Martell relations. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it was Tywin Lannister who said, look, if Prince Doran Martell wants to come to King's Landing, he has every right to be here, because A, he has been given a seat on this very council. Not sure exactly on what portfolio, what sort of a minister he would be. But anyway, Doran Martell. He's been given a seat on this very council, the small council, and he will attend the wedding at Tyrion's invitation. And C, he will also be here to get some justice for, you know, that time when his sister Elia was murdered, along with her 2 children, during that dark page of Robert's rebellion. Doran never got any justice from Robert, you see. And he said all that elegantly glossing over the fact that he himself, Tywin J. Lannister, had personally ordered that slaughter. Okay, I admit, I just made up that J in Tywin's name. To my knowledge, he doesn't actually have a middle name. But yeah, that reply seemed to help Mace, you know, chillax a bit, because it was all like, yeah, no, it's okay, yeah, look, Doran is cool, don't get me wrong. He's okay, in my book. It's not Doran, Dorito. It's not Doran I'm pissed off at. It's his brother Oberyn, you see? Stage name, the Red Viper. Snake. Call me Snake, in the best Kurt Russell impression. Hey, because that, you know what, that Red Viper, he's a bit of a naughty boy, isn't he? Yeah. So it's a good job that it's Doran and not at all Oberyn who's coming here to King's Landing. Right? Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fast forward to today, and well, you know who's actually coming to town, right? Yeah, my cat seems to agree. Yeah, what a twist! I know. Get out of here. You know I love you, but get out of here. So what do you want? Just ignore him. He won't be ignored. What do you want? So here's there's our Tyrion right there at the gate, which I imagine is the King's Gate. It would make sense because the Kingsway was just mentioned as Dornishmen's preferred itinerary, you know, route. Although I don't remember any mention of which gate Tyrion is standing by, waiting for the guests to arrive. And he's not on his own. He's actually surrounded by various noblemen of sorts. I can't call them dignitaries or ambassadors. Besides, by the way, speaking of ambassadors, there isn't really such a figure as an ambassador in Westeros, is there? Correct me if I'm wrong. let's just say, well, these guys, anyway, they're just a bunch of assorted characters that Tywin wanted to be there with Tyrion, so that this sort of royal welcome wouldn't look too shabby. So, Tywin basically does just like George R. R. Martin does. He sprinkles a few random characters that can always be relied on to add some color, shall we say, some, world building. Yeah, there are also those guys. Yeah. That kind of thing. So, case in point, here are some attendees from Tyrion's wedding, who indeed were there for the very same purpose, to add a bit of color to local, world building and whatnot. Lord Giles, although I've also heard it pronounced Giles, doing what he does best, coughing. Poor guy is affected by chronic pneumonia, and that's the only thing, that's the only character trait he has. I mean, he really, even when he does cover more important roles and, of higher responsibility, indeed, at that small council in the Feast for Crows. No spoilers. No. Okay, I'll shut up. This is a minor spoiler. But yeah, all he does is just coughing. Whenever he's got a speech prepared, he can't go through it because he can't stop coughing. Blood sometimes. Yeah, God, why such a character? Such a sad, poor character. And there he is, right next to Tyrion, coughing all his germs on him. Then, of course, there's, how are we going to pronounce that? Summer Islander. Jalabar what if it's just like a... Yes, Caribbean, but because they make rum in the Summer Islands, I will remind you. But it could be like the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, so it could be Jalabar Zo. How do you pronounce it, dear listener? And he's never one to miss a photo opportunity. Then there's Adam Marbrand, I guess, in the capacity of commander of the City Watch. And Tyrion has also got these regular entourage, namely Bronn and Podrick. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of the above-mentioned gold cloaks, because security. And all the while, Tyrion is thinking, maybe Joffrey should be here in my place. I told you. He's thinking, anyway, why wasn't Joffrey sent out here? Because it's kind of like his job description, isn't he? As king, she's supposed to fulfill these roles. Royalty, welcome royalty, that would kind of make sense. Except that Joffrey, let's face it, is an idiot when it comes to diplomacy. Knowing him, he would have started cracking up some of the racist jokes about Dornish people, which he predictably picked up from officers in the Tyrell army, because who else, right? Oh, and by the way, speaking of race, racism and etc., and the Dornish men, and I've heard this chapter also analyzed from like, oh my God, it's so problematic because race and and colonialism and exploitation and imperialism. And do you know what? I won't be doing that. I won't be analyzing it from that point of view, because I'll tell you what, if I ever want to discuss colonialism and exploitation and imperialism, I will discuss those issues. But taking real world, our own universe that you and I, dear listener, inhabit, case studies. Right now, I'm reading fantasy, okay? So I won't be doing any of the, oh my God, it's so problematic. The word exotic is so racist. Yeah, I won't be doing that. Neither where we come to those Summer Islanders chapters that have also received similar treatments by other commentators. No, we're in a fantasy bubble, and there we shall remain. I promise you, you won't get none of that nonsense from me. Not in this channel, anyway. Okay, all right. Where was I? Long intermission. Long detour. Let's go back. Let's get back to Tyrion, 5? Yeah. And finally they spot them. from afar. The banners, the banners of all the riders coming their way, except that there are way too many banners. Not a good sign. Way too many banners, i.e. too many houses, noble houses. Wasn't it supposed to be only the Martell house, the ruling house of Dorne? Instead, Martell has brought half the lords of Dorne, Tyrion is saying to himself. So it's time for Podrick to show off, to show that he's done his homework. Hey Pod, how good are you at international relations? Did you finish that master's degree eventually? All right, so tell me the names of all the houses whose banners you can spot, which Pod does impressively. But all he can do is stand up on his stirrups, thus showing Tyrion that he's already hitting puberty because he's gotten taller, and soon he'll be taller than Tyrion, like every regular-sized adult. But tall as he is, he can't see the banners because they're all flapping in the wind. In universe, that's an excuse because Podrick is apparently even too shy for that simple task. But out of universe, that's an excuse for George R. R. Martin to give us a full description of those banners, because it's actually Bronn who goes ahead and describes the banners, whose houses he doesn't know. And then Podrick proceeds to sort of like decipher, explain what family each of those sigils belongs to. And here they all are. Martell's brought half the lords of Dorne for the Martells, and everyone knows the Martell, and everyone know that one. A purple field strewn with lemons for House Dult of Lemonwood. A vulture of Blackmont grasping a baby in its talons for House Blackmont. The crowned skull of House Manwoody, bone and golden black. Man, Woody, bone. Not the first penis joke will come across in this chapter, especially as far as this house is concerned. But the bone and golden black is actually of Kingsgrave. But you can see the subliminal association with all those words. Georgie, you you dirty old shwunka. No, what was that line from Clockwork Orange? Oh, you dirty old babushka. No, what? Never mind. Okay. Georgie boy. You naughty. What else was this? Bone and golden black of Kingsgrave. Then we have the three scorpions of House Corgyle of Sandstone. Is that how it's pronounced? It starts with a Q. Corgyle. Some people would undoubtedly say Quargyle, even though there's no U. Don't know. The Flames of Hellholt. That's House Uller. A pie with red and black slices with a gold hand in the middle, which stands for House Illyrian of God's Grace. A cockatrice, red with a black snake in its beak, and that's the banner of the Gargallons of Saltshore. And finally, a golden quill, pin, green checks, banner for House Jourdain of the Tor. God, that was a long... Now, this is a long description. Yeah, I know. And I have heard other commentators go over the list of these banners and finding a foreshadowing of events to come in this same novel sort of embedded in the symbols. Sort of like in the movie Shaun of the Dead, where Shaun's mate, forgot his name now, recites to Shaun the pub crawl plan he has for the night. And he literally goes, we'll have a Bloody Mary here at the Winchester, first thing. We'll have a Bloody Mary, then a bite at the King's Head, which I imagine is a pub that does food. And then a couple at the Little Princess, a couple of more pints at a different pub called the Little Princess. And if anyone needed that explanation. And then he goes, and then we should stagger back here and bang, back at the bar for shots. which really sounds like a terrific plan, if you ask me. Although he did leave out the grand finale with a doner kebab or gyro, whatever you call it, eaten while walking home. No, but really that pub crawl, as it's described, is actually a description of events that will happen in the movie later on as the plot pans out. So anyway, I heard commentators say that it's just the same thing with these banners right here, except a little more cryptic and kind of more challenging to decipher. And I could give you the full rundown, but no. Because I can't take credit for it. I'm not the one who first came up. I'm not the one who came up with that hypothesis. So I could, but no. But no. Or in the words of King Bob in the Minions movie, pero no, King Bob. No, first of all, because as I said, I can't take credit for it, and secondly, because my anti-spoiler policy forbids me. You see, I told you, no spoiler around here, not for me. No way, Jose. So I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, and I certainly won't say what I think the crowned skull of Kingsgrave is supposed to foreshadow. But do check out the Not a Cast podcast, Storm of Swords, Tyrion V episode, obviously. If you want to listen to the full list of foreshadowy stuff. Not now. Stay with me a little longer, because it's getting intriguing right now. Yeah? So, see, what's worrying Tyrion right now is that none of those 9 houses is either small or insignificant. What are they here for then, huh? Let's not forget that Myrcella is currently in Dorne, fostering with House Martell, as well as being groomed to marry Tristan Martell, the youngest son of Doran Martell. Lots of Martells. So she's basically been she's been brided rather than groomed. But so yeah, anyway, moving swiftly on. And another thing that sends Tyrion in a frenzy right now is the fact that no litter can be spotted. See, Doran Martell has a bad case of gout and he travels everywhere in his litter. Now, if Doran Martell is indeed the main guest coming to King's Landing, why no litter, huh? No, none of this sets up at all. No. And Tyrion is so nervous about this. Then he goes through various panicky stages, The first one being denial. Perhaps the dude's got the dude's gout condition got better. Yeah, who knows? Maybe he can ride a horse now. But no, the tension becomes unbearable, so he kicks his horse. Let's go meet them, lads. Let's find out who actually is out there. And off they go. And as they get nearer, they can kind of see these Dornishmen's faces, to the point that they can tell all 3 main ethnicities of Dorne are well represented in this retinue. Oh yeah, that's right, because as reported by King Daeron Targaryen way back, and Tyrion remembers that, being a bookworm. An entry in King Daeron's log apparently reported that there are 3 sorts of Dornishmen. The salty Dornishmen, who live along the coast, lithe and dark, with smooth olive skin and long black hair streaming in the wind. The sandy Dornishmen of the deserts and long river valleys, even darker, with faces burned brown by the hot Dornish sun. Oh, and they wind long bright. They wear or wine what? Yeah, he says wind. They wind long bright scarves around their helms to ward off sunstroke. Okay, that would make sense. They wind them. They around the helms, and then finally we have the stony Dornishmen, who make their fastness in the passes and heights of the Red Mountains, the biggest and fairest. Sons of the Andals and the First Men, the salty Dornishmen, have the most Rhoynish blood. and the stony Dornishmen the least. And as I said, and I promised you, we're not going to figure out, which ones are the Caucasians, which ones are the, and is there, what are the race relations, and who's oppressed, who's privileged. We won't be doing that because we're in a fantasy bubble, you see. So apparently all these different ethnicities of Dorne came together and kind of closed ranks. You see, togetherness. That's what I'm talking about. They closed ranks. We're all Dornishmen. Let's be friends. You know? Unity. Strength through unity. That sounds like a dictatorship kind of motto, actually. It was, wasn't it? From V for Vendetta. But because they were under constant threat of attack, and assimilation and what have you from the rest of the continent, the other 7 kingdoms. So that's what you got to do, right? Not divide yourselves along ethnic lines, but be one strong and proud people. So from an outsider's point of view, kind of like racist, they look all the same to me. They're all just Dornishmen. So you can be, we're all just Dornishmen with pride, or well, they're just Dornishmen. From outside with contempt. And the latter attitude would be apparently Joffrey's attitude. So, yeah. And other commentators, and this actually includes George R. R. Martin, have drawn countless parallels with our own history, Earth's history. Let's just... let's just I'm just going to give you this little which you probably already know, nugget, this little info that suffice it to say that apparently George R. R. Martin did say somewhere that his inspiration for Dorne was several different countries: Palestine, Spain, and, are you ready, Wales. I mean, I kind of get Spain, certain parts of Spain anyway. Almeria, Almeria in, which is in Catalonia. No, what am I talking about? Right, never mind. Let's just call it Almeria. And, which is where they shot, I believe, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And the previous two, Sergio Leone's, it was for a few dollars more, a fistful of dollars, etc. And I get the Middle East. I also get the Middle East. Although for some of the fantastic artwork out there, portraying Dorne, you must have seen it, mostly reminds me of places in Oman. So more like the Arabian Peninsula, I should say. And I guess that the HBO series sort of went with that, especially with the casting. Because look at who was cast to play Doran. None other than Alexander Siddig, whose full name is, in fact, are you ready? Siddig Tahir Fadl Siddig Abdurrahman Mohammed Ahmed Abdul Karim Al Mahdi. Who, aside from his role, we all remember him for, Dr. Bashir in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He has often played a character from the Arabian Peninsula. Look at his role in Syriana, for example. Remember? With George Clooney. By George Clooney, I think. Or in that sequel they made to Lawrence of Arabia. That's right. That's right. If you didn't know this, the BBC once made a sequel to Lawrence of Arabia, exactly in the style you imagine, BBC, big historical exposition, info dump, like, hi, I am Percy Cox, British High Commissioner in Iraq. And I'm about to sign a very important treaty with King Abdulaziz, whom we in the West refer to as Ibn Saud. What do you know? Charmed. Oh, hi, and I'm Gertrude Bell, and I will be famous for tracing the borders between Jordan and Iraq. Oh, enchanted to meet you. You know, it's the kind of ideal movie to watch if you have like a school project, a school report overdue, I suppose. But great cast, as you can imagine, you know, BBC, because Lawrence of Arabia was played by none other than Ralph Fiennes. Ah, did you know that? This might have been before Schindler's List, but don't quote me on it. And our friend Alexander Siddig played Prince Faisal, which in the original Lawrence of Arabia was played by none other than the late Sir Alec Guinness. So yeah, enough about our friend Alexander Siddig. Let's talk about Doran. Now, of course, Doran Martell's brother, Oberyn, who, still in the TV series, is played by Pedro Pascal, who is actually from Chile, but, you know, could pass for Spanish. No? I suppose. The only thing that escapes me here, okay, so Spain, yes, Middle East, Arabian Peninsula, or even Jordan, Palestine, whatever. The only thing that escapes me is the Welsh bit. Search me. I have no idea. All right. Enough padding. Let's get back to the plot. But just speaking of Prince Oberyn. He, are you ready to meet him? Yeah. Then let's go meet him. Here's how he triumphantly enters this novel. Here, let me read you this passage. Here you go. Thank God for bookmarks, huh? The Dornish leader forked a stallion black as sin, with a mane and tail the color of fire. He sat his saddle as if he'd been born there, tall, slim, graceful. Beneath, his face was lined with saturnine, kind of adjectives does George fish out? Saturnine, with thin arched brows above large eyes as black and shiny as pools of coal oil. Only a few streaks of silver marred the lustrous black hair that receded from his brow in a widow's peak as sharply pointed as his nose. A salty Dornishman, for certain. Yeah, hello, hi, it's Oberyn, yeah, not Doran, Oberyn. Hi, he goes, yeah, sorry, mate, yeah, my brother Doran, whom you were expecting, yeah, he says he's sorry, he couldn't make it. He's doing poorly. What are you going to do? So he sent me in his stead. And Tyrion is thinking, oh, shit. And, of course, the bad omens, the clues giving Tyrion those uneasy gut feelings keep on coming. Because Oberyn, among his entourage, which he quickly introduces to Tyrion, happens to have not one, but two sands. I hear you ask, what? He has two grains of sand? No. Let's little footnote. That's right. In Dorne, sand is the generic surname given to illegitimate sons and daughters. And no, Georgie boy, that detail wasn't wasted on us. We did notice how these surnames happen to reflect whatever natural element is in abundance in whatever region where an illegitimate offspring happens to have been born. Snow, stone, flowers, rivers. Am I missing one or two? Probably, I don't know. Anyway, and now we have stone, sand, sand. Now we have sand, so the list is growing. So the two sands in question are, in order of appearance, the son of a certain Sir Ryon Illyrion, and his name Sir Daemon Sand, a knight, no less. And the other one is Oberyn's own mistress, or in Oberyn's own words, Ellaria Sand, mine own paramour. That's when Tyrion starts thinking his sister will have a fit when they inform her that a natural daughter will be sitting at the royal dais at her son's wedding. and not in a separate, lesser room as is custom, like customs demand. But yeah, because, Cersei will not like that, because she's likely to go, oh, no, 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 no. That will not do at all. I, Cersei, not a stranger to committing adultery and cheating on my husband with mine own twin brother, cannot tolerate such indecencies in the eyes of the gods, and yak, yak, yak. So there. That's what she's likely to say, I think. Or something along those lines. There's, of course, a whole bunch of other people, like there's this Lord Harmon Aller, Elaria's father, who's there traveling with his brother, Sir Ulwick. And then there's a whole family from Kingsgrave, the Manwoodies. We get back to those Manwoodies. Miles Manwoodies, and of course his brother Dagos, the latter traveling with his sons, Mor and Dickon. Really? Dickon Manwoody? Really? Seriously, George? I mean, because that kind of joke was done like in the Life of Brian, Monty Python's Life of Brian, ages ago. Bigus Dickus. Do you find it hilarious, Georgie boy? Anyway, all these other characters, basically, yeah, they're like the Dornish equivalent to those other extras on the other end, Lord Giles or Giles, Jalabar or Halabar. So one day I really have to look up these pronunciations. Adam Marbrand, whenever George R. R. Martin finds himself in need of a bunch of Dornish men to sprinkle on the pages of a future chapter, say, for example, appearing at a certain welcoming party when a certain human skull is presented to Dornish authorities, or simply mentioned by a certain princess in a certain tower. Say no more. Shut up, Salsa. These, anyway, whenever, there's need of Dornish characters in those future chapters, these are the characters that George will deploy. I mean, Elaria Sand is obviously important, but as for the other guys and dolls in Oberyn's entourage, look, if there was anyone worth keeping an eye on, I would tell you right now, like, keep an eye on this one. He or she will do great things. I would tell you, dear listener. Although, truth be told, I'm intrigued by one character named Dagos. It's not Dagos, it's Dagos. Lovecraftian reference. All bets are off as to which characters in this series of novels will turn out to have descended from Lovecraftian, Cthulhu-like creatures. The Ancients, you know what I mean? My money was initially on the Ironborn, because drowned god... Maybe they are the descendants of some gigantic kraken-type creature. But then other people told me, no, mate, it's the people from Old Town. Which really I didn't see coming. Have you heard any other rumors of such nature, dear listener? But now the Dornish hypothesis is also on the table. They have names like Dagos. Dear listener, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Other than reading and rereading whatever material is available to us, whatever content is available to us, because right now, yes, that's right, I am speaking to you from an unhappy historical era where The Winds of Winter is, as of yet, unavailable, unpublished, as of yet. So wait, Oberyn, come on, let's stay on Oberyn. This is a fan favorite, isn't he? He's cocky, by the way. That's right. We're back on the narrative. Just stay with me, because we're going to finish this chapter. It's funny. It's really funny. No, it's funny. It's funny. The battle of wits that Tyrion and Oberyn exchange here. Because he's cocky, and that's one of the reasons most readers, consider him like the most badass First thing he says, right after his round of introductions, is, "Oh yeah, oh, such an honor to be greeted by the imp." I don't know, that I find that a bit passive aggressive. We're not important. Tywin has really gone out of his way to make us feel important. Yeah, with the imp. A vaguely sarcastic line, which gives Tyrion the opportunity to reciprocate and introduce his own entourage. He goes, "Yeah, okay, yeah, but I'm not alone here. Check these guys out. The ginger fella in the gold cloak, that's Sir Adam Marbrand. Good guy. Nice guy. Friend of my brother's. And the old geezer who can't stop coughing is Lord Giles, and some people call him Giles. Then there's that guy over there, very distinguished gentleman in silver and purple, really into unicorns. He's called Fleming Brax. Then Jalabargzor, that's how I'm going to pronounce it right now, Prince of the Red Flower Vale, unmistakable as ever. And there's Sir Harry Swift, who's basically here with us, scrounging our meals, simply because he was so deep in debt with the Lannisters that he offered his own daughter as a payment. True story. At which point my Uncle Kevin married the girl, Kevin Lannister, because that's how we Lannisters roll. Then, who else? Oh, let's see. Sir Merlin Craighold, Sir Philip Foote. There's another one who was guzzling Lannister pies and lemon cakes at my wedding. This is still Tyrion talking. Oh, and lest we forget, Sir Bronn, my friend for hire. Yeah, that's right. I pay him to be my friend. Bodyguard as well. He does a lot of other random tasks for me, odd jobs. And my Squire Podrick, this little kid here, he's adorable. Huh? See what a collection of specimens I brought? Specimens? Specimina? Specimi? Anyway, right. Shall we go? So as this whole company turns their horses towards the city, we're given a bit of exposition by Tyrion. But all in his head, because we are in his head right now, yeah? So Oberyn N. Martell, this one does have a middle name, and he's got quite a resume, too. Red Viper, they call him. And for a reason, he's really into poisons. Fella knows his poisons. He's got the whole poison discography. He's into poison, get it? See, when he was only 16, he was found in bed with the paramour. There's that word again. With a paramour, he was found in bed with a paramour of a certain Lord Ironwood, who challenged him to a duel. His Ironwood will be intertwined with Quentin's story, won't they? Never mind, Quentin Martell. So he challenged him to a duel. Although the duel was only at first blood, just to teach the boy a lesson. But the boy was nasty, and he still went ahead and aimed to kill this Lord Ironwood. I'm losing track of all the similarities with Barry Lyndon, that I keep finding in this novel. Because the final duel at the end of Barry Lyndon, the movie, Stanley Kubrick. Okay, I won't spoil it for you if you haven't watched it. I really think if you haven't watched it, what's the matter with you? You will enjoy it. And anyway, so here's how it went down. Rumor has it that Oberyn poisoned the tip of his own sword. So while his own wounds healed eventually, Lord Ironwood died from them. So let's keep this in mind, dear listener. Prince Oberyn is a poison expert, which will be important later as fuel for a certain theory. Future chapter, future book in this series even. So I will shut up about it right now. Here, let me read you the rest of his curriculum vitae. He had traveled in the free cities, learning the poisoner's trade and perhaps arts darker still, if rumors could be believed. He had studied at the Citadel, going so far as to forge 6 links of a maester's chain before he grew bored. He had soldiered in the disputed lands across the narrow sea, riding with the second sons for a time before forming his own company. His tourneys, his battles, his duels, his horses, his carnality. It was said that he bedded men and women both. He had begotten bastard girls all over Dorne. The sand snakes is what he called them. His bastard girls, his natural daughters. And so far as Tyrion had heard, Prince Oberyn had never fathered a son. Why is this line randomly placed there? Will at some point a natural son of Oberyn turn out in the? No, this is not a theory, as far as I know. It's just something that literally occurred to me now. That line placed randomly there, I don't know. Anyway, so impressive resume is what I'm saying. But of course, the context we first heard Oberyn's name was at that small council meeting, remember? Where Mace Tyrell is huffing and puffing like a cartoon blowfish at the simple mention of Oberyn's name. See, there's always been this enmity and the fact that Willas Tyrell lost the use of one of his legs because of Prince Oberyn certainly didn't help, but I said that before. And we learned all that in Sansa 2 from this same book, by the way. That's maybe I didn't mention the reference. I didn't properly reference it. But it's Oberyn now who breaks the silence, interrupting Tyrion's thoughts. So he goes, "Hey, by the way, do you know that I saw you when you were a baby, Mr. Imp?" That's what he calls him. "Back in Casterly Rock, where you were born. Let's see, I must have been like 14. Your siblings around 8, I think, and there we were, visiting. Me, my sister Elia, rest in peace. Your dad, Tywin, was also a hand to a king, although a different king, because Aerys was a bit mad, it's common knowledge, whereas the new king is so well-adjusted and level-headed, apparently." Indeed. Okay, dear listener, this dialogue is paraphrased in case you hadn't noticed. So Tyrion wants to know, or it's probably just polite chit-chat. He goes, "Oh, Casterly Rock, how did you like the place?" "Meh," goes Oberyn. He goes, "Meh. It was grim, bleak, gloomy," which really, really should come as no surprise, considering that Tyrion's mother had died in childbirth. So, yeah, if Tyrion was still a baby, then the whole family was mourning at the time. And in fact, it was a serious, top-of-the-range mourning for Tywin, because we learn here that if there was one person Tywin genuinely loved, it was his wife Joanna. And in fact, according to some, every trace of humanity Tywin had in his nature was buried along with Joanna Lannister. But yeah, Oberyn was disappointed at everything at Casterly Rock. The food, the wine, the entertainment, the parking facilities, no air conditioning, not to mention Tyrion himself, who was said to be such a monstrosity across the 7 kingdoms. Everyone talked about this deformed monster baby born to the hand of the king, who had slain his own mother during birth, kind of like that cheap series of horror movies in the 70s, the killer mutant babies. What's it called? It Lives? It's Alive? One of those. So yeah, Tyrion, in a continent-wide gossip, was murmured to be this mutant baby, inflicted on Tywin by the gods, to punish him for his hubris. Supposed to have a stiff, curly tail, a monstrous, huge head, bushy black hair and a beard, long, sharp teeth, lion's claws, both male and female genitalia. But disappointingly, no. Just a regular baby, nothing to write home about. It was Cersei who eventually showed baby Tyrion to the Martells after getting rid of the wet nurse in the nursery, with the usual threats of having the woman's tongue chopped off if she didn't scram. So she showed the baby to the Martells, Elia and Oberyn. It's not clear whether Doran was there. Not in the nursery, visiting. But since he's not maybe he's not mentioned, maybe he wasn't at Casterly Rock at all. I don't know. Because I think there's a huge age gap between Doran and Oberyn. Elia was the middle child. Anyway. So it's only Elia, and Oberyn here in the nursery, and the little baby Tyrion, and Cersei, and later we'll find out Jaime is also there. So Cersei even went as far as undoing baby Tyrion's nappies, swaddling clothes, to use the Shakespearean term, and voila, baby Tyrion in all his glory, with a regularly sized penis for a baby, none of the over stiff curly tails, none of that. And it was just such a regular baby that Oberyn's sister Elia even went, "Oh, the noise," and she tilted her head. "Oh, he's so cute." But no, Cersei didn't agree with that. No, but he is a monster. This was Cersei, yeah. Plus, he killed my mother, so watch what I'm doing to him now. At which point, she grabbed Tyrion's baby penis and started twisting the hell out of it, as if she wanted to decork it, like a bottle of wine. Oh my, I'm glad I never had an older sister when I was a baby. Who knows the tortures I would have been subjected to. Anyway, so no, but this deep-seated hatred Cersei has always felt towards Tyrion has a reason that even predates Tyrion's birth, as we'll find out in Book 4. Let's just say it involves a certain old crone grandmother to, or great-grandmother to Jane Westerling. Ha! You didn't see that coming. No, of course you did. If you have read the book in question, you know what I'm talking about. If you are a first-time reader, I will shut up. I just wanted to tease you with this little, more intriguing plot twists coming my way. If you are this first-time reader, just keep reading. Trust me, it's very rewarding. This book series is very rewarding on rereads and any number of reads. Anyway, so enough of that. So as Cersei was busy twisting her little brother's reproductive organs, the poor baby was crying his eyes out, as you can imagine. At which point, Jaime came to the rescue by stopping Cersei. So, Oberyn informs us. No. Now, the only surprise Tyrion finds in this story is not so much his siblings' abuse, his siblings' behavior in general. Cersei being abusive and Jaime being protective, but the reason why Oberyn chooses to tell him this story. Tyrion wonders, why has he told me this? Why is he telling me this? Is he testing me? He's thinking, reminding Tyrion what kind of screwed up family he comes from and that really he's on the wrong side of things. And he will prove to be on the wrong side of history. How? The conversation then moves on to the tax that has recently been implemented in King's Landing. A tax citizens have to pay whenever they consort with sex workers. It's a penny for every intercourse, we're given to understand. Now, I get why, the harbour needs rebuilding. There isn't enough cash to go to do that and pay for Joffrey's extravagant and frankly quite tacky wedding. We learned that in Tyrion's previous POV chapter. I get all that. I get why. Even though really it was Tywin's idea, but Tyrion gets the blame, of course. Because, he is, after all, the master of coin. To the point that this tax has been rebranded the dwarf's penny in the streets. Okay, and I also get all that. Even though really, okay, I get all that. What the one thing I don't get is how exactly is that tax enforced? I mean, and collected? I mean, is there like an accountant in every private room? Tax collector of sorts, monitoring orgasms? That counts for 2 pennies. What are you doing right now? Oh la la. And then, all that is tallied up at the end of the week. Is that the deal? Think of the logistics. It's complicated. Anyway, so Tyrion is all like, yeah, but that shouldn't concern you, Don Oberyn, surely. Why, you're engaged. And in fact, we're right within earshot of your paramour. I'm just assuming, because, I mean, you don't see me frequenting sex professionals, precisely because I'm a gods-fearing married man and I get all the action I need in my own bedchamber, which of course is inaccurate on so many accounts. But Oberyn cuts through the bullshit immediately. He goes, yeah, Terry. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call you now, Terry. You're not fooling anyone, you horny old boy. Okay, I did say this dialogue is slightly paraphrased, yeah, this conversation. But yeah, he goes, actually, I will have you know, I am interested in the brothel girls here in King's Landing. Not just for myself, mind you, but for Elaria as well, mine own paramour. We share everything, you see, and she was keen to try a blonde girl, so, because we don't have them back home. Yeah. So that's the deal. See, everything Oberyn is saying, until now anyway, point to the old, we're not so different, you and I, kind of trope, Kind of like, if circumstances were a little different, you and I would be buddies, We'd be playing bocce or petanque together. We'd get drunk and go whoring, then sing our hearts out in the middle of deserted streets at night, That kind of thing. Until now. But it's what he says next that really puts a stop to that, because and reveals the purpose of Oberyn's visit to King's Landing. Because he goes, 77 main courses served at this royal wedding. Yeah, that's all very well. It makes the headlines of every gossip magazine in town. But what about justice, huh? Will justice be served, huh? That's what I'm here for, in case you missed the memo. My sister Elia was butchered with her 2 children in the establishment of this new royal dynasty or dynasty. Her only fault being that she was the crown prince's wife. 16 years on, and we're still waiting for the culprits to be brought to justice. And don't be giving me your politician Lannister crap about official inquiries. Oh yes, right now we're a bit busy, but in due time, the course of justice, yada yada yada. Nah. Believe you me, we know who was behind those gruesome acts. We had it all from the late John Arryn. Remember him? Hand to the late King Robert. Wow, lots of late people here, huh? But anyway, yeah, we know that Gregor Clegane, a.k.a., what does he call it, the monstrosity who rides, he doesn't call the enormity, the mountain, committed the murders, we know that. But who gave the order? Huh? Wink, wink. Don't mistake me for my brother Doran the Explorer. Because as we will learn, Doran explores various avenues. It takes his time, He doesn't act immediately. But anyway, don't mistake me for my brother Doran the Explorer. I mean, the appeaser. I mean business here. I mean business. And I'm bloodthirsty. Yeah. So there. All right, mate, goes Tyrion. You might be bloodthirsty, but you're not good at counting. I mean, do the maths. You've got, 300 people here with you? Up in King's Landing, we have 5,000 gold cloaks, the City Watch, plus my father's own army, that's another 20,000 strong. Not to mention the Tyrell army, camped all around town, which numbers about 50,000. So yeah, there's that to consider before you start issuing threats, you know what I mean? Which really, when you think about it, here what Tyrion is unwittingly telling us, with the Tyrell's army literally outnumbering the forces in King's Landing 2-1, is that who's really calling the shots in the capital city right now is the Tyrells in terms of deterrent power. So, it's not just the Martells who should be, watching their back, their backs. They're not the only ones. The way it looks, the way the situation looks. Every time, in Tyrion chapters, actually, we were often giving short glimpses of, Tyrell's armies training. Anyway. But yeah, speaking of Tyrells, Tyrion also doesn't miss the opportunity to remind Oberyn that he's not exactly welcome in town by the above-mentioned Tyrells, on account of that same old story everyone keeps repeating. That Oberyn once unhorsed Mace Tyrell's firstborn son, Willas, at a tourney, causing his horse to fall on him, and as a result of that, Willas has lost use of one of his legs. But unexpectedly, actually, Oberyn just shrugs the whole thing off and goes, yeah, but you know what? Willas and I remain good pals. Yeah. Actually, it was a tragic accident and we both know it. Don't know if you knew this, but I sent him my best maester right after the accident. In fact, the dude just wrote me a letter 6 months ago, which, is recent in that day and age. And he says, hello. That's his letter. Hello, this is Willas. Dear Oberyn, how's it going? Wanted to ask you, how do you make your horse mince steak tartare? Oh yeah, that's right, because apparently the two Oberyn and Willas share an interest in horse meat. Don't ask. The things that bring people together, huh? Sometimes. So yeah, to sum up, if anyone was at fault, that would be Willas's dad, Mace, who wouldn't have signed up, shouldn't have signed up his young boy at that tourney, because he clearly wasn't ready for it. Who did he think he had on his hands? A new Leo Longthorn? Now, at the time, Storm of Swords was published, yeah. The only way a reader might have known who the hell this Leo Longthorn was would have been if they had read George R. Martin's short story The Hedge Knight, which had come out a couple of years prior. Basically, Leo Longthorn was the head of the Tyrells almost a century before this conversation Tyrion and Oberyn are having right now. Regarded as one of the greatest knights ever produced from House Tyrell. I'm reading here, I'm actually from the Wiki of Ice and Fire. And some consider him the finest jouster ever to couch a lance. So there. Ever to couch a lance? What kind of a verb is that, couch? Unless it's a typo, or I'm very ignorant, practically illiterate. Couch a lance. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, that's what the quote from thingy. The Hedge Knight. So there. So Tyrion just keeps sticking to the point, namely that Oberyn should watch his step around the Tyrells, because he goes, but Mace Tyrell already has a son who's as good, Every bit as good as the legendary Leo Longthorn. His name is Loras. At which point Oberyn just gives us another clue that not only Loras was in a relationship with the late Renly Baratheon, but that pretty much everyone who's anyone knew that. Because he calls Loras, quote, Renly's little rose, unquote. And I must say, these clues, scattered over 3 books as they are way more subtle than the HBO series, which went out of its way to spell the whole thing out for us in huge neon signs, complete with raunchy bits that we obviously don't get here in the books because there's no Renly or Loras POV chapters. Anyway, so Tyrion insists, he whacked not 1, but 2, this Loras. Yeah, just to give you an idea what a badass he is. He whacked not 1, but 2 fellow Kingsguards, to the Rainbow Guard, Sir Robert Royce and Sir Aemon Kai, out of rage, because they failed to protect King Renly, or possibly, and more likely, because Loras thought they had played a part in murdering him, Renly. But anyway, those 2 don't count, because they weren't expecting to be attacked by friendly fire, says Oberyn. Okay, so Tyrion continues. Men say that he also performed prodigious feats of valor on the Blackwater, fighting. And this is where he says something that really he shouldn't have said. Fighting beside Lord Renly's ghost. At which point Oberyn just goes, okay, so the people who vouch for Loras's feats of valor are the same people who swear they saw Renly's ghost on the battlefield. All right, how credible are those reports? Come on, dude. But in this exchange, in this conversation, I think it's ultimately Tyrion who has the last word, because he goes, all right, well, we're nearly there. You said you wanted to try the best brothels King's Landing has to offer. Okay, well, look, you see up there, that's my favorite, or used to be my favorite, before I became, God's-fearing, faithful man. Wink, wink. That's Chataya's establishment. Lovely, sexy MILF from the Summer Isles who runs the establishment. And she does have a few blondes that your paramour is so keen to try. And also, if I may give you a friendly word of advice, dear Oberyn, you should also one of those blondes should always be near you. Always keep one of those blondes handy. And Oberyn goes, and he totally walks into this one. What on earth for? I wonder. And Tyrion goes, because you remember when you said earlier, I don't know if I quoted that, well, you remember when you said earlier that your favorite way to die would be, with a woman's curves, with your hands caressing a woman's curves and so on. Oh, can you believe that? How rude. Right in the middle of well, I never. Remember when you said the best way for you to die would be, your favorite way to die for you would be while caressing a woman's breasts? I think that's what he said. Yeah, well, my advice to you, dear Oberyn, would be to keep a woman handy for that very purpose, because you may well die in that brothel. Say no more, says Tyrion, tapping the tip of his nose with his finger. No, because, Oberyn should expect attempts on his life. That's kind of like the, the gist. I think I ruined it, but I have a phone call to blame. That crappy Huawei that went off. Which is probably just, a scammer, a potential scammer. But anyway, whoa, if you're following me thus far, for an hour and 15 minutes exactly, holy crapparoli, if you made it this far, dear listener, well, I guess at least with you, I must be doing something right. So fear not, because there's a lot more chapters to go through, you and I. And so if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to do the things or not. It's entirely up to you, dear listener. I enjoyed talking to you, and I will see you. And I also look forward to talking to you again real soon. Ciao.